Hey guys, and welcome to my March TBR. I basically read 16 books this month with a novella, and I'm actually on my 17th book because it's March 31st right now. And I'm just going to go right ahead and talk about the books because it's going to take a long time to go through all of them. The first book that I read is Dairy Queen by Catherine Gilbert Murdock. This is the first book in the Dairy Queen trilogy, and I thought I was going to enjoy this book more, but I didn't. The first half of the book was a bit boring, but the second half was good, so I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read Furious by Jill Wolfson. This book is a Greek mythology retelling of the Furies, which are 3 girls who are out to seek revenge. I've read more than one retelling of the Furies. One of them is Elizabeth Miles' The Fury trilogy, and this is the first book that I read that is told from the POV of the 3 girls. And while I enjoyed this book, I had problems with the way that they basically executed their revenge, because it was all the same. Like, for every single person, it was the same type of revenge, the same type of action, and I kind of got bored. Like, there was no creativity in it. So I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read Sophie Kinsella's Wedding Night. If you guys saw my TBR for this month, I think, you would know that I actually already read 40 pages of it back in February, but I had problems with the POVs, and it is that it's told from 2 POVs, the main protagonist and the sister of the main protagonist, and I was like, why would I want to read about the sister when, you know, the whole book is around the main protagonist? And what's funny is that, like, in the middle of the book, I was actually looking forward to the chapters with the sister, not the main protagonist. The main protagonist was this ditzy, like, careless, naive kind of girl, and, like, she never thought through what she did, and that really annoyed me. But the sister was, like, more, like, I could connect to the sister more, and I just liked her story more. So, I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Requiem by Lauren Oliver. Requiem is a 3rd book in the Delirium trilogy, and it is told from 2 POVs, from Hannah, who's Lena's best friend, and Lena. Now, I know a lot of people said that they didn't enjoy the ending because it was too open-ended and all that stuff, but I have to say that I did not mind the ending as much. What I minded is the way Lauren Oliver handled the love triangle. It annoyed me in that, why would you introduce characters that were pointless? That's all I'm gonna say. And I loved it. I really did like it. It was heartbreaking, but I liked it. And I especially liked Hannah's last chapter, even though I did not enjoy Hannah's first chapters. So I gave it 4 stars. Then I read Mindy Rapp's The Symptoms of My Insanity. This book talks about a girl whose mother has this rare illness. And the girl is basically a hypochondriac, where she obsesses over the teeniest symptom, like, my heartbeat is beating a bit too fast, I'm gonna have a heart attack, something like that. And it had a romantic plotline, which I didn't enjoy, so I'm not gonna talk about that. But I liked the protagonist. She was funny. I liked her mom's best friend, Pam. I really enjoyed this book, like, in terms of, like, the whole family dynamic, but not the romance. I gave it 3.5 stars. Then I read Audrey Wait by Robin Benway. Ooh, the windows. This book was pretty good. I think I gave it 3.5 or 4 stars. It wasn't as good as I expected, but it was still satisfying. And I liked the main protagonist. I like how the fame didn't get into her head. And yeah, it was good. Then I read Wait For You by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a new adult book, and it's actually blurbed by Cora Carmack, who's the author of Losing It, a book that I really enjoyed. Now, this is Wait For You is just a typical new adult book where the girl had this like nightmarish experience, and now she's trying to get over it, and there's this guy and all that. It was nothing spectacular. I gave it 4 stars. Now, these are all the ebooks that I read. I'm going to go through now the review books. And the first one is Earth Girl by Janet Edwards. This is, I think it's futuristic. It's set in 2070 something. And basically, I think in the end of the 20th century, this scientist invented or discovered a way where people can travel to other planets, and the main protagonist is actually called an ape, meaning that she was one of the humans that cannot be, her body can't sustain the whole traveling to other planets. So I'm not gonna get into this book, but I'm just gonna say that it was a big disappointment for me. I didn't like the writing, I didn't like the way people talked, and I just could not connect with the characters or the plot, and I gave it 1 star. By the way, just don't just listen to me. I would suggest you go and Google other reviews, or go on my blog and check at the end of my review. I have a couple of suggested reviews for you guys to check out, because most of the people that I talked to actually really, really loved this book. So anyways, moving on. I read This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith. This is my second Jennifer E. Smith book. The first one is The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight. And it seems like I'm not that... I don't really connect with Smith's writing. I feel like I never connect with her characters and the plot. While I do find them enjoyable, there's just this thing that's wow, I don't know what's going on. There's this thing that's missing in her writing for me to actually fully enjoy them. So I gave this 3.5 stars, but I know a lot of people again who loved it, and I found the beginning emails to be these emails between the main protagonist and her love interest to be pretty cute. And this book is about a girl who starts emailing, the guy actually emails her by accident, and they start emailing each other, and the guy is actually this really big male celebrity, but she doesn't know that. Anyways, it's a pretty cute book, but nothing spectacular. Then I read Things I Can't Forget by Miranda Keneally, and by the way you see me pet this book, you know that I loved it. I gave this book 4.5 stars. It's my favorite book out of the... I don't know what this... I always forget what this series is called, but basically the first book is Catching Jordan and the second is Stealing Parker, and Things I Can't Forget is my favorite out of the 3. I adored it so much. I loved the main protagonist, even though she annoyed me as hell at the beginning with the way she judged everyone, but towards the as I got into the novel, you actually see her developing character-wise and all that, and it was a pretty cute book. I loved it. I read it in 1 day. Then I read Mila 2.0 by Deborah Driza. This is a sci-fi novel where the girl finds out that she's actually a product of a government top secret government something, where they basically developed her to be a killing machine. And she's a 2.0, so you know that she's not the first Mila that they constructed. And there's a lot of car chases, running away, and like it reminded me a lot of Prison Break at some parts, and I love Prison Break. I love books that are like that and shows that are like that, so I really enjoyed this. But I gave it 3.5 because the romance just ticked me off. Then I read Touched by Corinne Jackson. This book is a paranormal book where the girl, whenever she touches someone, she can heal them. And I really enjoyed this book. My only problem with it is that it had a lot of similarities to Twilight. And if you guys read any reviews, you'd know, you would see that in any of the reviews mentioning Twilight. But I like that even with that, there was still a plot with the girl's stepfather who used to physically abuse her, basically beat her up, her and her mom and all that. So I like that about the book, that Corinne added that part, and it's a pretty good book. I give it 3.5. I can't wait for the second sequel. Then I read A Touch of Scarlet by Eve Mary Mont, the second book of the Unbound series. In this book, the main protagonist, who is called Emma, I think her name's Emma. You know when you're looking for something and you can never find it, but yes, Emma. She actually she travels or whatever gets put into the Scarlet Letter, and into this other parallel world, but most of the book is set in Emma's current life, which is what I really enjoyed about this book as compared to the first one. So I gave this 4 stars. It was a pretty good book. Then I listened to Monstrous Beauty by Elizabeth Fama, and this is a mermaid book, but it is also a mystery, and it's a pretty good mystery, and I really liked the audiobook and the narrator. I gave it 3.5. Now, for my non-review books, I actually read 2 physical non-review... Well, I read more, but 2 physical non-review books. The first one is Hallowed by Cynthia Hand. This is the second book in the Unearthly trilogy. The third, Boundless, already came out, so that's why I want to get through Hallowed so I can get to Boundless and finish this trilogy. Since I already finished the Delirium trilogy, I'm trying to finish as many series and trilogies that are already finished as possible so that I can move on, basically. And it was a pretty good book, like nothing spectacular. Unearthly was also, I gave Unearthly 4 stars, but Hallowed is a 3.5 because there's more Christian in this book and I just don't like Christian. I like Tucker more. And the last book is a book that is the book of the month. My book of the month, and it is The Evolution of Dyer. Yes, finally, I have finished this book. I have read this book. Yay! I've been like featuring this book since November because that's when I got the book, and every single time I'm like, okay, I'll read this book, I'll read this book, I'll read this book, and I just never get around to reading it because I always have issues with sequels, especially the second book in the series, and I'm afraid that they're not gonna be as good as the first. But this book was so good. It was really, really good. I enjoyed this book more than The Unbecoming of Dyer. This book was amazing. Like, I love Michele Hodkin. I love the way she writes. I love how twisted, dark, and creepy this book is. I love how I'd like check under my bed before I go to sleep because that's how freaked out and creeped out I am. Because the guy apparently comes into her house and like takes pictures of her sleeping. Yeah, so that's a pretty creepy book. And as you can see here, these are all like the quotes and like the scenes that I really enjoyed in this book. I just love this book so much, and I can't wait for the Retribution of Dyer. It comes out in 8 months. Yes, I'm counting. I just love this trilogy, and I gave this 5 stars, or maybe an all-time favorite. I think an all-time favorite. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, these are all the books. And be sure to check out my TBR, which I will be filming next. Bye, guys.